Welcome to the R.E.A.L Podcast, where hosts Shane Kilby and Duane Murphy dive deep into the world of real estate agent life. From overcoming hurdles to celebrating success, join us as we explore the journeys of industry veterans and rookies alike. Get ready for bi-weekly episodes packed with advice, feedback, and mentorship from the best in the business.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are shooting an episode for our R.E.A.L Podcast, Real Estate Agent Life. I'm here with my co-host, Duane Murphy, and our special guest today, none other than the man, Nathan Abbott. If you don't know Nathan, you have missed a great opportunity. You do need to connect with him. This guy is super awesome, knows everything about real estate, and he's a constant student of the industry. He's a great leader, great thought leader, and I'm just blessed to have you here today, brother. How are you?
Great to be here. Good to see both of you boys.
Yeah, so we've known each other for quite some time. So Nathan and what guests and listeners and those who download this and watch this and share this, you've got to go track this guy down. Go into his timeline. He has several different personalities, and it is phenomenal. When I say go down his rabbit hole, go all the way back down to grade school, because you want the Nathan effect. The Nathan effect is front and center, but you got to go back to childhood, because then it just makes an entire. This is a whole documentary on Nathan Abbott. Nathan, give us some of your backstory. Who are you? Where are you from? And how did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah, I was born in the Destin, Florida area. I call myself one of the pioneers because I was one of the only people that lived here. There was not much here. I grew up in a little town called Fort Walton Beach, Destin, Santa Rosa Beach, and the areas that people know today as a prime vacation spot where we're just hunting and fishing land. And my grandfather moved down here from the military, and our area was kind of birthed off of military, and called my father and my uncle, said this is the most beautiful place he's ever been to before, and there was no one here. It was an untapped market. So my father and uncle moved down here, and three generations within my own family. Been in the real estate business since 2001. Seen a lot of changes. Always really enjoyed the sales process. I think it started at my grandfather's garage sales. He always enjoyed my company, but we didn't realize I was there to out hustle him on the sales of the garage sales, and I was keeping tabs. And he's like, Nathan outsold me again. So I've always loved people and just connecting, and real estate was a natural path for me. Started in 2001.
So this is second generation, third generation. You guys have been around real estate since real estate's been around for a minute, right?
Yeah, my grandfather started in the 60s, and then my father and my uncle started in the early 70s to kind of the late 90s. They were really the only management company in our marketplace. They had about 1,200 employees, and we're the largest employer outside of the military in Northwest Florida, and just believed in the area when no one else did. And, I guess they kind of, just as brothers, had a dream that one day it'd be a world-class vacation destination, and continue to reinvest and plug into the area, and had a vision when a lot of people didn't. And here we are today.
Yeah, I remember when we first met in Atlanta at a Commissions Inc. event. And you were still part of
three of the loudest guys in the room. Yes.
There's
a lot of people. There were a lot of people in those rooms back in those days.
Duane, I think you beat us all hands down. You beat the whole room.
Yes.
You was at a Stinky's fish camp, and you're like, I had the fish.
Yes, that was just recently in April.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hear that. I'm Duane's there.
That's a great time.
Listen, I'm 50 years old, and I don't look like it, but some of the most awkward moments in 50 years have come in the last 10 years that I've known Duane. And I wasn't even participating. This guy's just across, in the most awkward, quiet rooms, like big conferences and stuff, and he killed me. I'm like, stop, dude, no. Back in the day, though, you were a different brand. You were a different brand when we met.
Yeah, well, my first brand was me and my wife. It was Real Estate Nate and his mate.com. And that was our tagline. And we worked together for 12 years. But then I started adding some additional. Actually, she hired our first person to our team. And before, she was telling me if I ever brought on a assistant or a female agent, she had to be an ugly one. Well, my wife ended up recruiting the this beautiful girl in our marketplace. And I'll never forget, I walked into the office and all the older ladies are there. They're like, Nathan, have you seen this girl? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen her. What do you mean? And she said, she's gorgeous. And so I walk in and she comes walking in and just probably one of the prettiest girls in the business. I came home and Aaron's like, what'd you think? And I'm like, I hired her. I said, but I'm kind of surprised because I'm glad that we have so much trust. I was like, you told me to get an ugly one and you got one of the prettiest ones. And then we started growing from there. And so I started thinking, I'm like, well, now that there's not just real estate Nate and his mate, maybe we could do like a nautical thing. We could do real estate Nate and his mates. Funny enough, this girl, she was doing a marketing thing and she accidentally put mates. And it was for, I think this military industry. She said real estate Nate and his mates. And then we brought on a few guys. And then my buddy said, hey, man, I'm just not feeling comfortable anymore with it being real estate Nate and his mates. And I said, man, come on. I thought you liked me. And so we kind of dissolved real estate Nate and his mates. And then we went to Nathan Abbott team. And then I did convert to my own brokerage, Abbott Realty Services, which was my family's original brokerage. And I dissolved that shortly after. And, I realized that I didn't want to be the independent broker, just partner with some different layers. And so I've had about a 23-year journey in this business, but a lot of changes over time.
Absolutely, man. I love your journey and success is achieved 1,000 different ways in this business. And I want to share a moment that we had. Maybe I shouldn't share. It's,
should I be handy with the button? Like, do I need to beep stuff out? Because statute of limitations of some of the stuff that the three of us have done together might not be up yet. So
we were not disclaimer. We were not at any P. Diddy parties.
No,
we were not.
Thank God. But it was close. This was close to a P. Diddy party. This happened to be at Miami Beach.
No.
We were at a festive environment. Let's just keep it clean for the young listeners. It was a festive environment, and it was loud music being played and some theatrics and entertainment, which was awkward for me. It's just me sitting here I'm still awkward. And your wife called, bless her heart, bless her soul. And I remember, because I was sitting right in front of you or right next to you, and I was witnessing this. I was in tears. She called, and the dog was sick. And it was all you could hear. I could hear this music going in the background, everybody hollering and screaming, and you're like, yeah, babe, we're at dinner. Yeah, it's good. You weren't doing anything wrong, but I could tell because I've been in those moments. She was not in a happy place. And I think you were in mid sentence, and the phone was abruptly dead, and I was like, what happened? And he's like, well, you were like, the dog's sick, and Miss Abbott's not real happy with me right now. I just remember that, just one of many of my experiences with you, and of course another one was your alter ego on a boat in Miami. Do you remember that?
Oh, for sure, man. We had a whole skit on that against all the dollars. We were NAT on the EC, and
yes.
We it kind of started.
I actually expected you to show up today with all your gold chains on.
Well, I do. My Halloween costume this year is Mr. T, and so I do have all the chains. But yeah, I just fun. Comedy has always been kind of my own personal therapy. I was class clown in my high school. I think sometimes this business is hard. We deal with a lot of stress, and sometimes we can just be goofy occasionally and just let your guard down against all the doubters who try to portray to have this image. I'm just very real, and I learned that a long time ago, that be who you are, have fun with it. Can't be serious all the time. And so a friend of mine at the time, we were, we kind of look back when we were younger, and we'd be at a party, and her and I, after drinking a few beers, we'd be down on the dock making raps. And she could actually write some good rhymes, and I like to rap a little bit. So we started writing rhymes about all of our favorite places that we like to enjoy in our marketplace, and it kind of went down this rabbit hole for a while. But crazy enough, I I had agents like, what are you doing, man? This is like, career sabotage. And I was like, well, I like hip hop music. I always have, and I'm going to just have fun with it. And man, we got so much exposure from that. And I'll never forget a girl named Jennifer that was actually at that event. We were sitting there, and she was from Arizona, and she said, "Oh my God, I've seen you. You're the rapper." And I was like, "No, I just like to goof off a little bit. I'm not a rapper." And she's like, "No, you are." And it led to this big conversation, but we had fun with it, and I actually got a $5 million sale from it. So
hey,
a buddy of mine that saw the video shared it with his friend, and he called me and said, "Hey man, I know we don't know each other, but I want you to be my realtor." And that turned into doing about 15 million in transactions from that one lead. So sometimes it's the goofy stuff that connects and makes people laugh.
Well, Nathan, you bring up a great point. I mean, for anybody, right? It be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Right. So many people try to be perfect behind a camera and try to have, everything absolutely. If anyone's watched our podcast, we are anything from perfect on this thing. And
speak for yourself.
I forgot. Yeah. We got Mr. Perfect, and then we got Mr. Not. But it's right. Be your authentic self, because right, the people who love who you are going to do business with you. The people who don't love who you are, and everyone's always worried about what is someone else going to think or whatever it might be, they ain't going to do business with you anyway. Who cares? At least give them something more to hate, right? Like, if they already don't like you, they already hate your personality, just whatever the heck it may be, like, shoot, give them more stuff to chew on, because they weren't going to do business with you anyway, right? And that
you can have the most incredible marketing package on the planet, but if you don't have a personal connection with the person that you're speaking to, it only goes so far. It might be one deal and then done. And I think that's one thing that has set me free, is that I don't change who I am for my customers. I still tell the same goofy jokes and let my guard down and have fun with it. I don't never let the goofiness replace the knowledge. So I think you have to have a good layer. You have to be serious when it comes to their business aspects and understand they can know at any given time you're going to be on point for them like no one else. But at the same time, you develop a friendship because they see the true you. And I think so often, especially as you're dealing with people, I've been fortunate to have some people of high wealth and my career path, very high wealth. And, and I've been to their weddings and like different events because they said, everyone is always trying to size us up on the better deal, the bigger price, the chase the commission. But you just treated us like a friend, and we felt a connection through that. But there was never a time when the business switch had to turn on that you weren't completely engaged with what our needs were, but then we wanted you to come to our dinner party because we actually felt a true friendship. So I think that's important to be who you are. And so often, as you know, real estate agents can engulf in the fake, and the kind of 90210 part of real estate, most of it is fake.
Yeah. Without doubt. I did before we roll into something else, I did want to point out today that, we all got our skull covers covered today, like 3 different styles.
Yeah. Duane, the more hair you lose, the more head you get.
Trust me, I got plenty of it.
Yep.
There is no hair there.
You get lots of heads.
That went off the rails in so many different ways.
Yeah, but you gotta have some nice hats. So you got a bald head. And people realize with a bald head, if you don't have a hat and you get hot, the sweat just drips in your eyes. There's no hair to catch it. So you gotta have an absorption cloth on your head.
I mean, in your market, you have that problem. In our market, we have frostbite. So
yes,
right. So it's you gotta keep the melon warm. So and in your situation,
Wisconsin area sounds like my place. Hats all the time.
Well, but Nathan, you're a big avid. You like the cold. You like the cold. You're a big snowboarder.
Yeah, I love the cold. It's I love Florida. This is my home, but anytime I get a chance to go on vacation, I go straight to the cold.
Yeah. You've been following the and you may have slipped away from it, but I know for a while you were doing the cold plunge too, right?
I still got one at the house. Yep. I got to try to talk myself into it once a week.
Once a week. How you like that?
Kind of, I hate thinking about getting in it, but then when I get out of it, I feel great. So anytime I need just like a mental reset, I'll get in the cold plunge. I do like a cryotherapy thing too. There's a place locally called 850 Cryo, which I really like. That's kind of hot and cold chambers, but yeah, my sister's a freak about it. I mean, we went to Canada on a snowboard trip, and she was asking, where can I find the ice? And we found a place that had a hole cut into the lake and solid ice. And she got into it up to her shoulders. And then she challenged me when we were in North Carolina. We own North Georgia. We own a place up there, and we went down this river. There's chunks of ice in the river. And her husband, he was trying to show off, and he wasn't used to the cold plunging. So he just runs in and he dives in this river, and it like paralyzes him. I just see him floating down. So Amanda and I get in this river, but I'm just kind of like put myself in a mental state, and I beat all them folks. I was in there just like, kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya. And that mental, I put myself in the mind of fate, and I survived.
Yeah, that flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the cold showers and done the cold plunges, and definitely the neither one are the easiest to do. To me, the cold shower is much more painful than getting in the cold plunge. It's like constant needles running down the crack of your rear end. It's like never gets easier.
It's somewhat sadistic because you are like controlling that to make it colder.
Yeah.
Like if you just jump in cold water, it's just already cold.
Yeah.
Like throw me in a bucket of ice water, I'm good. But to like sadistically turn that to cold on purpose.
Listen,
no.
The first time I ever did that, I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm in there, and the water's already like warm to hot. I just kill it to cold. My God, I literally thought I was going to have a stroke. I was like, if there could have been a video of that, like I couldn't put words together. I was literally falling down trying to get out of the shower. Never. And I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. My heart's like, have you lost your mind? What in the hell are you doing? This is not cold. This is not normal. But I do enjoy the cold plunge. So we did a little mastermind get together in February, Duane? February, March. Yeah. And so the conversation that popped up, I was finishing a 75 hard. So everybody there like, let's all do cold plunge. Oh my God, this is going to end badly. But I said, okay, whatever. Like the more the merrier. So we were in Tampa. So we hunted. There's no way we could go to the gas station to get sacks of ice like $6 a pop. So we found I think we went to Miami to get it at this ice bulk ice forever. Machine, right? We were in a minivan that we rented for this mastermind event, and we had 400 and something pounds of ice, and it was squatted down and just cold air coming out of the windows, freezing in that van. We rushed back to the house, and the hot tub wasn't hot at all. I don't think it worked at all. I don't think it was stagnant, but I don't think the water ever got hot. And so we filled this hot tub full of all this bags of ice, and we're all standing, and all these people too. We're all in this hot tub, and we're like, okay, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was a little awkward because there were like 8 of us in like a 4-person hot tub. So much so that water and ice was coming out of the top of it, overflowing. But another story for another day. Let me ask you this.
It was like a magic trick. You all went in as men and you came out as women.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Went in as boys, come out as a lot smaller boys.
My boys are gone.
They gone. They gone. They went north. They went north. Oh, man. Got me sidetracked there. All right. So back on track.
Bring it back to the center line.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, we promise you good value, promise you good time. We didn't promise you that they wouldn't be both at the same time. Let's talk about your biggest success in business. What would you say the biggest success in business you've had? Talk about an about face.
Well, I mean, I think I've always focused on high production. My wife and I, we were top producers, and and then from growing a team, you realize over a long path in your career that I think your biggest success is when you help someone else find that win. you get your own wins in real estate, but one of the things my father always taught me is that you have extreme highs and lows in real estate, but if you can find a way to stay in the middle and keep your emotions in control and continue to show up to practice every day. And I think sometimes working with certain agents and getting them to a place where they see the light and their business starts to flourish from that. But one of my bigger successes is it was actually during COVID. It was right when COVID happened. And there was a family coming from California. And, we didn't know what to expect. And I'll never forget my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law. They were up in San Francisco, and they're like, "You're not going to believe it. They're kicking us out of the hotel, and the grocery stores are shutting down." I'm like, "No, what do you mean? Like in Florida, we weren't experiencing that yet." And here comes this family from California flying over. I'm like, "Oh man, they're coming over with the virus, and I'm supposed to show property to them. Gosh!" And I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, "Man, I'm not sure what to do here." And I get out there and I pull up. There's like 8 of them in a Suburban, and I said, "Hey guys, y'all want to follow me?" They go, "No, you ride with us." And I'm like, "Ride with y'all, okay? Y'all just from California." And so I get in the van with them, and I'm like kind of just sitting in the front. I've always been kind of a little bit of a germaphobe. I'm like, I'm going to die up in here. And we ended up developing a friendship through it. And it started at a $2 million property. Then it went to a $4 million property. Then they started thinking that, man, we may want to move down here. They started falling in love with our area. Then we went to an $8 million property, a $10 million property, 12. I'm like, gosh, I've never even been in any, most expensive home I sold was around 5. So I started navigating in a space I wasn't even understanding how to navigate. Then I went to 15. We ended up closing on a record-breaking sale in our market's history for $17 million, which at that property today is worth about 25. But wow, that was one of the authenticity pieces I was speaking of, because they said, out of all the realtors we've worked with all over the world, you never changed who you were for when we first started, not knowing anything, to where we ended. And I was really humble in that space because I didn't know how to sell a $17 million home. I'm still trying to sell the $5 million home. And so we're in this most beautiful home I've ever been in. And I'm like, you know what? That $5 million one is sweet, because that was reality to me. This one was not. And then the husband was like, well, you're right. Let's go back, look at that $5 million one. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just completely screwed myself here. And we're riding it there. And it's funny, at this point, the husband, and at first he didn't like the $5 million one. And now he's really liking the $5 million one. He's like, yeah, I like this one. This is nice. Well, now the wife and the daughter and the family are like, no, this one's not in the cards anymore. And I said, guys, I'm going to be completely honest. I've been trying to sell the $5 million home because I don't know how to sell the $17 million home. And when the wife said, she says, well, today we're going to help teach you how to sell the $17 million home. And that has developed into such an amazing friendship. And they buy the home. They got to see who I was from the core, and I'm out there electronics surfing on this surfboard in front of their house with the husband, just having the ball of time of my life. And we developed really great friendships, and from there. And I think sometimes the limitation of belief that you can is the biggest piece that takes away from growth. And a lot of the people, this is out in 30A, which is a very high-end spot, and a lot of the agents that have been positioned out there, they're like, man, how the hell did this Destin boy come into our market and make this work? Because a lot of folks out there, they are portraying an image, and it's just not who I am. And from there, it's developed a lot of big luxury deals just from the switch that, man, I can navigate in this space, right? And it turned to 10 million, 12 million, 9 million, prices that I've never thought I could, compete in, because my experience has always been all price points, our whole marketplace. And, luxury is a very niche marketplace. And people are like, well, how do you become luxury? Just be real. Allow them to see a part that they may not ever see, because everyone tries to kind of, try to size themselves up because of wealth, when people of high wealth typically just want someone to treat them normal. And me breaking through those barriers, I've been able to have conversations from that time period, like walking in, stiff competition. The seller is saying, oh, what are you going to sell my property for? Did you bring your marketing package? He said, well, sir, I'm a little unorthodox. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of great marketing packages today. And he's like, yeah. And he says, well, what do you think it's worth? I said, well, I have all the same comps that all of them do. I said, but tell me a little bit about you first. I can't begin to tell you what your property's worth until I know your story. First of all, man, this is amazing property. Like, what's been your journey to get here? And like, how'd you get started in the business? Right. And you think that having a conversation like that, sometimes like, oh, that's too, you're breaking into levels that it should be all about the business. And it just ended up developing friendship and relationship. And by the time we were done, after, 2 hours just sitting and chatting and hanging out, I already had the listing. I didn't have to go through the marketability because I already won the relationship. And it taught me a lot. It taught me that everyone just wants realness in their life, authenticity. They don't want to be around fake people. And even if they think that that's what they want, there's not any real in-depth relationship there. So it really changed my mindset of how real estate works, not at just a certain level, but all levels and all customers. And if you're not being yourself, you're being fake, and that takes away the beauty that this business can deliver.
Dude, that's gold. That's so powerful, because every agent's learned. I mean, it doesn't matter if you just started in the business or you've been in the business 5-10 years or whatever. You're trying to grow and scale and develop. You're always trying to look for that secret sauce, the secret button, the easy button, or that secret playbook of how to get to this next level. And like, you just nailed it. It's, a lot of times we look in the mirror and we don't see that person that we want to become. And that's like, I mean, until you can see, hear, walk, and talk with yourself that you're that person that you want to become, you're never going to get there, right? You're never going to get there. And what a better way to get that proven to you front and center than just being authentic Nathan with real wealth, real people of wealth, and them taking you and accepting you exactly the way you are, right? Because I'll be honest with you, as long as I've known you, and it's probably been almost long or at the same time around as Duane, is like that's why everybody loves Nathan. It's not because Nathan is, he walks and talks like this specific way, and it's because Nathan is Nathan. You get two values with Nathan. Nathan's like this knowledgeable real estate guru, thought leader, and then it's like, this is a real dude, a real person, real family, real struggles, real successes, real failures. So tipping into that, so off of that success, that's a massive one. Everyone that's been in business any length of time has had some type of failure, right? And probably a lot of times thinking about just burn it to the ground, we'll start over. We joke about that in this business all the time, especially in leadership. Entrepreneurs, we were in a conference, Duane is like, hey, you don't belong here if you haven't thought about burning it down 3 times this week, or something along those lines. And the whole room breaks out because the whole room's like so stiff for a second. And when that was said, everybody's like, okay, all right, now we're ready. Take us through a failure that you had in business.
Well, I mean, I think it's the realization that we all have struggled. No matter how great you try to make yourself feel or look or pretend, we all have a lot of life struggle. And I think with all the social media and stuff too, there's so much pressure for the highlight reel. And I think sometimes just by letting your guard down, it makes people also let their guard down, like you just said. And I one of the most, I did dissolve my entire team one time. I walked in and said, hey guys, I care about all of y'all. This is a very individualized feeling team. Like, everyone's doing their own thing for themselves. It's not true camaraderie. And this is not the dream that I had for real estate. And I went in there, and I remember one girl told me, she says, well, because we all felt that wasn't moving in the right direction. There's about 17 of us or so. And she kind of challenged me a little bit. She had my door open and she said, well, what happens if we all leave? And I said, well, I guess I'm going to get back to selling a shit ton of real estate by myself like I always have. Maybe the question is what direction are you heading? A week later, I dissolved the entire team, 17 of us. I kept my sister. And I just, I told them, I said, guys, it's nothing personal. This is just not the dream that I was trying to build. I'm miserable. This feels miserable. I can't even leave for a second with my family without having to deal with just a constant, what are you going to do for me? And I realized that teams are not built on what are you going to do for me. It's a reciprocal relationship that, hey, what are we going to do for each other? And how can we have this type of connection that's going to help us grow? because real estate's tough. I mean, there's highs and lows in real estate. You're fighting so many different things. And I think what I learned from that dissolving my team is that not only being authentic with your customers, but let your team understand that you feel the same pain. And so what a lot of people don't understand when you're growing a team is that whatever someone's feeling in a marketplace or the struggles, you're wearing that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times over based off of where, carrying that all on your sleeves. And I think one of the most pivotal times in the growth of our team, we have about 55 agents today, is I just said, guys, like, I know that you look at me for the motivation and the inspiration and the different things that we're all battling through, but my inspiration honestly comes from all of you. And so I cried the same tears. I said, in fact, I cried myself to sleep the other night with my wife. I said, I have the same pressures, the same pain, the same things that you may not think I ever experienced, but I do at times, all of y'all, because I wear that on my sleeves. You take that home, you try to, we try to be a therapist for all these different people when it actually makes you need therapy at times. And, this life cycle of real estate is not about chasing dollars. It's about creating counterparts that you can count on that can pick you up. And I'm like, I gotta be picked up, right? Like, I'm trying to pick you up, but man, I need that same thing in return, right? I'm trying to find success for this team and for you, and finding a ways to navigate it myself, right? Like last night I was up till 3 a.m. working on a project because it had to be done. And sometimes you just got to do what has to be done. But I mean, it's a tough business. People don't really, and then you wear the emotions on your sleeves of all the customers, right? You're dealing with big financial moves. I don't think there's many career paths out there. In fact, I know there's not, that you can be intertwined in people's personal lives on the level that real estate agents can be, the good ones. There's a lot of shitty ones out there, but the ones that actually care, it goes so far beyond the commission. It's like, man, this family's trusting me to help navigate through divorce, loss, inheritance, wins, losses, all these different things. And then they're asking you to navigate that path. So to me, it's just being real about what you're feeling, understand that you're not alone. And I think so many people in today's world, they need to get off the highlight reel of what they think everyone is and just have real talk. And I've learned a lot.
Yeah. And we've heard it too, like Chiplak, Duane, like he's, and he's been on this tangent for about 12 to 18 months. He's like, get out of your ivory tower, get back down on ground floor, get in the trenches, get dirty, get back to where you came from, because his mindset on that is what got you here will get you there. We've it's cliche. It was like, what got you here won't get you there. And in some aspects, yeah, you're right. I mean, you got to follow technology, process systems, stuff like that. But what got you here in his thought process, what got you here is that grit that will get you there, to that next level. And and so that process right there, I want to hold for 1 second. So you hit something that we haven't hit before. And it's like, the emotional side of leadership in this business. Like most who look at leadership in entrepreneur, brokerage owners, team leader, stuff like that, see this as the ultimate position where you make all the money and everybody else does all the work. And you just ride around in big cars and shake hands, kiss babies, and be a politician. And that's not it, right? And you just said, like, you're up to 3 a.m. working on a project. It did not have the option to go to bed at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You tried to say, which, could have been the real deal, could have been just a figurative speech. But let me ask you this. How do you deal with taking that home from work to the house around the wife and kids?
Well, I mean, it's been helpful that my wife was my real estate partner for 12 years. She's been incredible with our kids. And we made that decision that with an engagement that I'm in this path of real estate, which she understood from being my real estate partner, that I could have, be more of the stay-at-home dad and have this, where we're both in the field working. But she really had she really wanted to have that full time with the kids like she has. So that's my biggest investment, right? And so I put in the work to try to create the best foundation for them. Sometimes I get lost in the shuffle where I got to take those times to cut it off. And it's hard. It usually takes going on vacation somewhere. And by day 3, you're like, okay, this is what it feels like to start to unwind. And And I do it through travel. I do it where just taking a moment of, I was telling my friend the other day, I said, when you're getting older, when you're sitting out on your porch and you're watching the birds and you're completely satisfied. And I think you just have to have those moments. I don't think that everyone talks about balance in real estate. I got to balance. I got to have balance here and balance here. Balance is a myth, in my opinion. You got to find a way to keep your career path and your personal life congruent together and find a way to do both, because it never shuts off, right? You're always have people, and because as I mentioned before, it's like there's so much more than the real estate commission. I can't shut it off because I have people that are dependent on me, and my path is bigger than just selling real estate. It's creating connection with people and agents that creates a legacy of giving, even at the expense of yourself at times. And so I got to get better at it. I mean, I don't know how to cut it off. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs don't know how to cut off. And I honestly think that my wife understands that when it's cut off and things get slow or things get stagnant or I'm not connected to the pulse, that I actually start becoming a worse version of myself in a way. Right.
Yeah.
And I think entrepreneurial people, they're right on the edge of taking that path in a bad path or taking that path in a huge path. There's never like this calm piece in the middle. It's either extreme positive or going into a different direction, and I've always been a wild child. I think we all have. And I think real estate in a way helps navigate the good things. So you don't get lost in the not so good things.
Yeah, I think I heard whether it might have been Tim Grover or one of these influential authors and leaders and speakers, and maybe I'm quoting the wrong individual, but they referred to it as an intentional imbalance, as in like there is no such thing as a balance, perfect balance. Like there's stress in all things. There's stress, and I share this with my people too. Like, you're going to be stressed because you have too much opportunity and you're trying to figure out a way to make it all work, or you're going to be stressed from not enough opportunity, from being broke, right? But then it's like that intentional imbalance is like, I'm going to go to 3 a.m. today to get this project done as promised, and I'm going to go to Canada to snowboard for X amount of days, and I'm going to be intentionally imbalanced out of work. But right now I'm intentionally imbalanced in my work, right? So it's just that balance, And Duane, I may have cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off when you were about to say something just a second ago.
No, that same kind of the same observation, right? So much of society has always been balance, and and again, I've heard some of the greats just there is no such thing. There's always something in your life that's going to require more of your time, more of your presence. More of your effort than another, right? Nathan, I know you went through an illness, and right, where all of a sudden, right, life gets tossed upside down and priorities get rearranged, and all of a sudden, right, your health becomes everything, right? It becomes everything, right? Like, what else do you have after that? And so all of a sudden, right, there goes that focus, and there goes that, everything, all that effort's going that direction, right? Which then threw off the balance of everything else, which, same way too with every once in a while, right? You've got to put maybe a larger focus or more effort into the family, and every once in a while, right, you get that period in business where, hey, right? It's that conversation, like you said, with the wife of like, hey, I've got to grind right now, or I've got to get this done, or this, I got to put my focus here for a bit, right? It's not that you're not important, that I don't have time for all this, but I've got to put a bunch of it here right now. And I think that's that balancing act, right? Like I said, I don't think there's balance, but I think there's a balancing act. Yeah. Right. And so you tiptoe and dance in one quadrant, and then, right, it's like, oh, shoot, like that one over there needs a little bit of love. Right. So then you tippy toe or swing on over and you dance in that quadrant for a bit. And then, right, you're just it's just a dance, and you're just going from quadrant to quadrant of, right, life, health, right, business, personal, and I think it's almost like a dance, right? And you just have to go back and forth, and that's the balance. The balance is not so much that everything is equal. The balance is, right, is what quadrant do you have to dance in more today, right, while not letting go of the other ones, right, and not taking your eye off of those, right, but giving them love when they need it.
Well, and you realize very quickly that health is your wealth. And, it was the perfect storm on that trip. I've been snowboarding out in Canada for the past 30 years. I've done, some most unbelievable trips, never been sick up there. Always like, it was the perfect trip. I finally, after about 7 years, I've known, maybe close to 10 years with John Mikish that you had on here. I was so excited. I finally got John to go up there and AJ to go up there and another friend. I'm going to show them everything I know about Whistler. Like, this is my mountain, right? I've ridden that mountain. It's the best mountain in the country in North America. And I finally get them there. And I remember I was at the airport. I'm like, yeah, I'm so pumped. And then my director of ops at the time, he goes, literally, I've been with them for the past 3 days face to face. He goes, oh man, I got bronchitis. My family's bronchitis. I'm like, dang, man, I'm just leaving for this trip. You got bronchitis. I've been with you for 3 days. You said you've been feeling good. He's like, yeah, I'm struggling through it. And he forgot that he told me he was feeling good. I'm like, well, you told me you were feeling good because his family was sick. He's like, well, yeah. And I was thinking to myself, man, like, he got me. And so I get on the plane. I kind of put it outside of my mind. I'm like, man, I hope I don't get bronchitis. And I get on the plane, and this lady, she has a mask on, and what I'm realizing on the planes today, if you got the mask, you're the one with the COVID, or some other infection. I've always been a germaphobe, so I get on, and she's got the lady right next to me has a mask on, and I'm like, gosh, man, like, I hope she's not feeling too well. And I look over her, she's like sweating. I'm like, no, she's sweating, right? And she's like the nastiest cough, and I'm thinking, God, I got bronchitis, and this lady's.
I bet that is not what you were thinking, but go ahead.
This lady's sweating, and so then we get to Vancouver, one of my favorite cities. John gets there, and we decided, man, let's just walk the city. And so I walked the city. We walked like 20 miles that day. We walked all over the city. And I have this whoop that I wear on my arm, and it basically tells you your vitals and stuff. And usually my HRV's good, my heart rate's good, everything. I'm usually like a high orange or green recovery. I wake up that morning after the 20-mile hike, and I shit you not, the whoop had a picture of skull and crossbones on it, and it had a 1% recovery rate. And it's basically like, you're dead. And I'm like, damn. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I haven't walked 20 miles in a while, and I have jet lag, so maybe it's just I overexerted myself, because I still didn't feel that bad. I didn't feel bad. I'm like, gosh. And so AJ gets there that day. We start walking around a little bit more. And then right about that night, I start getting a little bit of chills. So I'm like, ooh. And I'm like, oh no, this might not sound good. I go to dinner, I go to bed. I wake up, still not feeling good. I'm 2%. Like, damn, that's still on death's door now. It's been 2 days now. So I pick up the vehicle, we drive to Whistler, and we get there, and I'm thinking like, man, I just need a nap. I'm not feeling right. And they're like, hey, I want to do a half day of snowboarding. And I'm like, well, I guess. So I get up on the mountain, or half dead already, to snowboard. And that next day, that one day and that exertion after being sick. So I think what happened is the lady on the plane, she had the flu. I tested negative for COVID. She had the flu. The guy I worked with had bronchitis, and they both hit me at the same time. Flu and bronchitis. I'm like, we're there for 12 days. I don't get to snowboard one other day that I'm there, and it's like perfect conditions. I'm in the condo, and I'm thinking to myself, I think anxiety starts setting in. I'm in a different country. My health insurance doesn't work here. They're snowboarding all day, so the mental anguish of that. And I'm just sitting in there, and I had the mistake of having one of those oxygen meters on your finger, and I swear I'm looking at it like every 30 seconds. Oh shit, it's 92. And like, I got myself in such a mental tizzy. I think I started having like anxiety or something. And dude, and right about day 6, I'm like, I'm feeling better. I'm going to end the trip with 5 days of riding. This is going to be great. They had the coldest cold front in the history of Canada come rolling through from the Arctic in Alaska, and it was like where you're at, Duane. It was negative 37 degrees. It went from 30 degrees to negative 37 degrees in 24 hours with a negative 52 wind chill. And I walk outside to just try to get some fresh air, and that shit froze whatever I had on my lungs like concrete. And I was like, shit. And that next morning I woke up, I couldn't breathe. I was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm calling my parents, my wife. I'm like, I think I'm dying. I can't breathe. I go to the hospital. At my insurance work, I spent $4,200 in 2 hospital visits. And the doctors just said, I think it was a perfect storm. You came from Florida. You went to elevation. You got bronchitis and probably flu at the same time. We had the coldest cold front in the history of Canada, and it all hit you at the same time. And I swear to God, man, I didn't think I was going to make it. And 12 days later, I finally had the courage to drive down to Canada, get through customs, and I got home, and I've been well ever since. But man, that was and John and I was isolated. No one wanted to be near me, so they're like, "Get back up in the room, get away from us." I'm like, room in the cold tundra, dying up there, and they tried to be as hospitable as possible, but they didn't with what I had. That was for sure.
Yeah, I can remember that time period. Like I said, I can remember a couple of your videos and a couple of your posts, and it's like, damn, like, is he dying? And right in it, and we got down this path, but it takes moments like that, right? Unfortunately, fortunately, you didn't go any closer to death's door, but when you get where you think knocking right on it, it does put a lot of different things into perspective and gives you a little different outlook. I know since that time, watching your journey through life and everything, I think you have been a lot more conscientious of decisions in health and right. I mean, you had just said the quote of health is your wealth. And, and I know that you've taken a lot of steps towards that, which, right, I'm sure is reflecting. Yeah, right. I'm sure it's reflecting in your personal life. I'm sure it's reflecting in business, and and using that wealth capital, that health capital to build everything else from. So
what just sucks that it happened in the place that is so dear to my heart. I have like PTSD of that place now. They're like, want to go to Canada? Like, hell no, I'm not going back. I'm not going no Canada. And this is like my place. Like my wife and I went on our honeymoon there. Like, it's a shame. I mean, it's going to probably take a year or two before I can mentally just say, okay, I'm back. Even though I've been there 30 times with no issues, was enough to.
Well, you look at it this way though. I mean, like not rested, but when you come back from Canada, like you were ready to work, like you're completely ready to work, and that's definitely not it. Only with Nathan Abbott can you turn such a tragic situation into so much humor, because I know you, we go way back, that I could. You're so say it.
I want to be
enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. You are the party. Like you are the party. And for you to be isolated is like I'm playing. That's why I'm laughing. I'm playing that through my ear, like, or through my head. You're just going nuts in this room, like, and nobody wants to be like. They have to be isolated. Like, wait, I'm all alone here, and I'm dying up here in Canada. Like,
the best part about that story is that you were the germ.
Yes,
because you are such a germaphobe. Like I've hung out with you, right, in multiple cities and multiple events, and you wiping sanitizer. You're like, ooh, like I don't know, not touching that, right? You are that person, and
that lady was
in that situation, you were it. You were the germ, which is got to be even more like over the top.
3.5 hours on the plane next to sweaty lady. I'm just sitting there like, God dang it, man, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. And sure enough, it got me both. And that director of operations, he's no longer on my team.
Oh God, you're out, man. You cost me $10,000.
You killed me.
No. Nathan,
we just changed different paths because of
that. Not a final question, but I guess something maybe to end on or to hit on. What's if you can go back, right? What's one thing that you could say to your younger self, or maybe, someone that's on a similar type journey, right? Maybe is kind of just starting to elevate in their career in real estate, maybe right business period. What's one thing that you would say to you if you were in the beginning of your journey, knowing, where you are now and all the life experiences you've had? What would that be?
Never give up. I think, don't get trapped on the emotional roller coaster, because you can be on the highest of highs and you can be on such a low that you're kicking the can down the street thinking that you're not worthy. And I think real estate, the true real estate agents, this business will define what you're made of from a personal level. And I always look at, as hard as it is, or as great as it is, that each new day is a new day to create greatness. And so you can have a knockout, drag out with, my sister and I work together, we love her dearly. She's amazing, but sometimes we can butt heads. You can have a difficult moment. You can have, a huge deal that falls apart, but there's one just behind it. And I think sometimes that when you get on too much of a high, you're like unstoppable. Nothing's going to change, right? And you're cocky almost. And it's like, don't get on that high either, because you stop doing the things that actually got you to that high. And then when you get on the low, momentum can work in such a crazy way that you get on the low and you went from a high here to thinking like, man, I suck at life. I suck at business. I suck at everything. I can't even, and then your customers feel that. So what I realized over time, stay in the middle, right? Real estate looks like this, but if you can stay in the middle, you're going to be at a path like this, not this. And I just think that every day is a new day. That's the biggest thing. It's like, no matter how much you got your teeth kicked in, because you will in this business, get back on the horse, wake up the next day and say, man, you know what? Fresh day. What am I doing today to make my day better? Am I wallowing in my misery, or as I'm not showing up because I'm on this high? Stay in the middle, show up to practice every single day, even if it's a little bit. Force yourself to get back on the horse. And because let's be real, I mean, what's the statistic? I think 85% of people are no longer in real estate within 2 years of them starting real estate. This is not a kid's career path. Like, you have to be so mentally strong. And I've realized the hardest times in real estate as the defining moments that make me the best version of myself, because I just get to work, right? TJ, my business partner, we've like, what was me? Not fear. And then what happens the next day? We're like, let's get to work. Like, what do we got to do about it? How are we going to show up today to change the outcome of the path that we feel right now? And when you have that huge deal or huge opportunity, yeah, man, I'm going to put that back at the business. And how am I going to show up for someone else today? And I think it's just this constant mental, struggle of staying off the highs and lows and being in the middle and continuing to show up even when you don't want to.
That was like epic. That was an epic close, man. That was, it's funny you say that. I mean, it's just, when we're shooting this, it was just recently started the fourth quarter. And that was my message to a lot of my agents and staff and stuff is peaks and valleys. And I actually saw it on a shirt or something. Maybe I think it's the guys that make these shirts. It said, it peaks and valleys. And it said, without struggle, there's no success. And it's like, when you think about that peaks and valleys, it's like, without the valleys, where would we be? Because we climb that mountain of success and we enjoy that high at that apex, and we stop doing what we were doing that got us there, and then we slowly or rapidly descend to the valley, to the bottom of that valley, and that start that process over. And that the message in that meeting we had was, it's funny too, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't had this conversation previously, or maybe we have in a different life, but not before this call or this podcast. And my message, I illustrated on the dry erase board to stay right there in that middle, not the middle, the bottom, like that top third. We get tired. We need to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Take a breath, take a break, but get back to work, right? And that way you can minimize how damaging mentally and emotionally, financially, those valleys can be. Nathan, it was
the low valley. Man, that's a tough place, right? Like, you have to take every piece of your being to say, I'm going to show up differently tomorrow. Because I mean, the pressure of the world is, and I talked about last night, I'm like, you wear everyone's feelings on your sleeve. And like when you're, and I think with a customer too, when you help them recognize that, hey, listen, you're allowed to be stressed. This is your biggest one of the biggest financial moves of your life. You're going through this, you're going through that. And I realize this when I try to buy my own real estate, how stressful it is. Let me be the person that can be the person in the middle that can navigate the calm for you and your own highs and lows in this transaction. Because I want to be a solutionist and help you get there. And I think that's where it's helped me personally, is that you have to be the calmest one in the room for the people that you're serving to help them find success, even in the midst of the chaos. And it allows you to kind of compartmentalize your feelings. And sometimes you pop off like you shouldn't. Sometimes you're, woe is me, but you gotta be the calm one, even when you're not calm, and find out ways to be calm the next day, and it's a constant battle.
Yeah, most definitely so. And it's those agents, they start at the bottom of that valley, from pre-license to post-license to in the business, and they climb and they push, and a lot don't make it, and some make it to that apex, and they forget that they carried that weight to the top, and now they think they're actually on cruise control, and that's what takes them off. And that to me, that's the biggest percentage of that 85-87% that are in and out of the business in such a short period of time. Nathan, it has been an absolutely powerful, value-packed episode. So grateful to have you on here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with Nathan, and I suggest that you do, Nathan, how can they connect with you, reach out to you at a more personal level, just to connect you, be in your space?
Sure. Our main website is abbottmartingroup.com, ABBOTT, martingroup.com. And, you can also find us at FloridaGulfCoastSales.com. That's our search website. But we're down here in the Miramar Beach, right outside of Destin area and Pensacola Marketplace. And just look me up online. You'll find some stuff about us and what our brand's about.
And they're always looking for referrals, and connect with them. You guys might can exchange some referrals. And he is on all the social media platforms. He is open book. He's completely transparent. He's a good guy, great leader, great father, great spouse. You guys just connect with him on a deeper level. We thank you so much for watching, listening, downloading this podcast. If we can be of value to you or someone else that you know, please send them our way, and we will reach out to them and possibly try to get them on the podcast as well. In the meantime, please like and share this episode, and we will see you guys again real soon.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the R.E.A.L Podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for more exclusive content. Keep striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode.